What's going on, everyone? It is David Palmer, Leo King. I'm here finishing up videos for highvibe.tv, all the sun sign weekly videos, and I thought I would do a little talk here while I'm got some rendering going on, because there's a lot going on in the astrology, of course, and especially post this full moon. You know, a lot of people have been talking to me in my personal life, in my work life, and just pretty much all areas about how this full moon in Scorpio really was. One, I will say that, I really was talking a lot about this end of 7 years. I know you might not hear it anywhere else, but I just really look at the number one, you have to look at a full moon in Scorpio as a detachment from, and it's weird with Taurus. Taurus detaches and so does Scorpio. But it was a full moon in its fall position and this is the first time that the moon's been full in Scorpio with Uranus and Taurus, number one, since the 30s. This is the first full moon we had in Scorpio post major retrogrades in 7 years. Venus retrograde, Mars retrograde in Scorpio, Jupiter retrograde in Scorpio, Saturn retrograde in Scorpio, eclipses in Scorpio, North Node and Saturn. The last time that North Node and Saturn met were in Scorpio, all in that 7-year window. Eclipses exactly conjunct Venus at 0 degrees. A Venus retrograde conjunct, well, not conjunct, but squaring the nodes, and opposing Uranus at 0 degree. I mean, really, it really was this huge culmination point for truth, exposing truth, putting huge matters to bed, putting huge matters to rising to new beginnings. It really has been quite a really intense full moon, to be honest with you. It was radical for me. I think that also with Venus and Uranus that we're doing, that was the initiation of Uranus and Taurus, in my opinion, because to me, let's say like Uranus moves into a new sign, which it does, about every 7-8 years, right? So the planet that rules the sign is going to activate Uranus. Now, when Uranus went into Aries the last time in 2010, and then it retrograded back into Pisces, which is a weird time. 2010, we had Jupiter Uranus conjunct, and then we moved into 2011, and it was just a very massive, intense time. But I will say that having Venus conjunct Uranus with a full moon in Scorpio, with all the stuff that I brought out about the last 7 years, was literally a flip of a coin in life. Like, we had been through 7 years on tails or heads, however you want to look at it, and now we're flipping things. Now, a lot of people would hit me up like, oh my God, so does that mean I'm going back to the way my life was pre this last 7 years? And no, I wouldn't say that. I would say that there's been just a lot of karmic work around Scorpio, your edge, your truth, the shit that inside we fuck up on, we screw up on, the stuff inside that we really desire, seeing where we have survival skills, seeing where we have survival amazing tools, having that great edge that is amazing, but at the same time, maybe where we feel like we lose our edge. So it also is very passionate, it's very intense, and there was this release of what is serving your intensity and your passion, what's fueling it. To me, I always look at Scorpio as like a fuel, because I look at it as a fuel of emotion. Like, it's a fixed sign. And so if we're not fixated in water emotionally on something fully, then we're not truly into it all the way. And that's why Scorpio is very black white, right? Like, gray is not a space for it. And somebody just brought up lots of shadow work because it really is the shadow of like Taurus, right? And this kind of great, more stable Taurus energy that likes to show, it's like beautiful buildings. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how well the light's in here, but like I'm drinking a ginger ale right now, and it's like, Taurus is like the wrapper, and it like really looks good. But Scorpio kind of is like the reminder of underneath, like, well, there's only a little bit left, and does it taste good? Like Taurus does that too, but Taurus already knows what it really likes. Scorpio is willing to kind of go, I'm actually emotionally into this. I'm willing to penetrate it to see if it is good. There is a little bit more courage because it is a Mars and Pluto ruled energy. Where Taurus is much more Venus. Like I know it's good, and I'm gonna build from what I know is good. Scorpio kind of does dive deep and then wonders, oh, if is it good or not, you know? And that's where we're at. Oh, I don't know who this major arcana or Caius, Chippendale, me, Cantero, U.S. flag, karmic, Arika, death release. This person has been writing the most craziest comments I've ever seen in my life on this channel. And I literally am just like, don't care. And it's like people like that who are out in the world, like just throwing all this crazy crap around of just negativity. And you should see the comments that this person writes, like probably some of the most insane. And honestly, I think we should all send that person love because they really need help bad. And you go to their page, they don't even have like anything on there, and they're just a troll, and they can't even put their own picture up, and they just hide, and it's just sad. But I just want to give them love. So I hope Major Arcania, Anya, or Chapendo, me, Cantero, we wish you the best. But it's just not cool anymore, Like it's really not cool to troll. Like really, I feel that that's another thing that I think brought up this full moon in Scorpio is like whether it's like trolling here on social media, but I think it's like deeper in our own lives. Where do we feel like we're being trolled? And then this C, whoever you see right here, it says C, it's the same person. They're posting the same stuff. So they're just switching accounts and going because those two, it's been the same thing over and over and over. And they do the craziest stuff you've ever read. Like 12th house media is Decepticon because it's 12th house. That I'm going to hell. Like all this crazy stuff. I like how somebody brought up the Pleiades highlighted the sun at 28 Taurus. I mean, you got also, which a lot, there is some truth to this star that's over in Taurus, which, there is this demon star at 26 degrees, but I really feel when you look at the Pleiades, you have to understand that it's a place that the energy is more scattered, right? It probably is that person, whoever is saying that. I won't even say his name because it's not worth saying. But the energy is scattered. In the Seven Sisters, it's scattered energy. And opposite of that is Antares. So you got Aldebaran, which is like Archangel Michael at the front, right? Very intense star, but it's an exact opposition to Antares. So if we use tropical astrology, it's at 9 Gemini, Aldebaran, and then you got Antares at 9 Sag. But over there in where Antares is in opposition to the Pleiades is just the biggest red giant ever, right? It's huge. But you've got this opposition to these Seven Sisters that are more spread out. They're bluer. They're much more, we always get the Pleiadians as much more like as light bringers. And then, Antares is much more kind of like this, I guess you could say, kind of more warlike, more intense, more radicalized, intense, like overly powerful, like, but they both need each other. And I think that's one thing about Taurus and Scorpio is we need shadow and we need light. We need to be able to understand both. And a lot of people I think are afraid to talk about trust, the truth, the dark shadow of the light that there is in the world, which I think is kind of an interesting paradoxical place, because like, I think whatever we define as truth is going to be just very raw and open and pure and real. And a lot of people don't want to like handle that anymore. They like, especially that's what we're going to see with all this Taurus energy. It was a lot easier to deal with truth, I felt like, during a lot of the Scorpio stuff for the last 7 years. We were all brought down to our rawness. We were accepting rawness from other people. We were kind of like in this place of like complete vulnerability, especially with Neptune and Pisces during the transit. But now that all the Scorpio is done, the last big Scorpio transit there'll be after this whole cycle will be 6 months from now with the new moon in Scorpio, which I think will just kind of set this new Scorpio energy. But it's already set, I would say, but it'll just set it fully. But I think that now everybody wants things to be like told to them a certain way, or things to look a certain way. And I think that Uranus is trying to teach us in Taurus, like, it might not look exactly the way that you want it to. Maybe we need to keep looking at other areas, but without the Scorpio kind of truth there, which we've all been kind of dealt a major hand with recently, especially with Venus Uranus conjunct. I mean, it threw everybody, I think, through a whoa, whoa, I didn't think it was going that way. And that activated the Uranus Taurus transit, even though it started May 15th of last year. This was the initiation of it fully. So like we're really like on the other side. If you look at 2019, Chiron's in Aries now. It's not going back into Pisces. Uranus is in Taurus. It ain't going back into Aries. No more major Scorpio stuff, except the new moon next year, or the 6 months. Like, then you got like, if we look, we're done with the Mercury retrograde in the worst place it could happen. You know, we had all the planets direct. They're not all direct anymore. We got Jupiter in its home sign. We got Saturn in its home sign. They're both retrograde now. We have really got to this point here where from now until this eclipse cycle that's coming here, in less than 2 months, is a very major crucial point of turning the tides to this new world and this new place that we're all going. And I think this full moon in Scorpio set, and I'll use it in true Scorpio fashion, kind of the funeral for the things that are not going to be part of this new set and cycle of our lives. And I like how somebody just said we survived and have been refined. I like that. And I think that, Taurus is a refinement. Scorpio, I don't think is as refined. I don't think when you rise as the Phoenix, it feels refined. I think it feels much more like, whether that's good or bad. We always look at the rising of the Phoenix as like a very positive thing. But when we rise to the Phoenix, sometimes it can be through like, oh my gosh, but I am getting out. There is a at the end. That can be looked at as positive, like I'm out, I'm done, to I'm so glad I'm done, but that was crazy and I'm done with that. I don't want to go through that anymore. So I think there's both on both sides, but I also think that a lot of people at this point are a little bit confused of still how it's going to go about. And I only see that just because right before, I guess you could say, the beginning of this week, we're at this last part of the sun in Taurus. We're at this Mercury Taurus as well. And both are moving into Gemini at the same time, where, oh my gosh, but then the moon comes into Capricorn right after and covers all this Saturn, Pluto, and South Node stuff. And that's a very harsh area right now. So I don't think it's going to be really easy. Chiron also comes to 5 degrees. And Mars is getting ready to square Chiron, but then Mars is ready to sextile Uranus. And these are the two aspects that were major about shifting this year. These were the two more outer body, positions, one being a major planet, one being more of a, I almost want to call Chiron a minor planet, but it is more asteroidish. But it is kind of the odd one. But these two things were the biggest shifting, actual ingresses to happen. So to have those happen and Mars to square them this week, right after this full moon, is going to be a big deal. I'm going to be talking a lot about this on deep astrology this week. I guess you could say that because I don't have much time. I have to work to actually finish work. I wanted to try and watch Game of Thrones, but it ain't gonna happen tonight. So nobody ruin it for me. But I don't. I'm assuming it's gonna have some sort of weird agenda behind it of projection to the world of how people want, like they want the world to be or something like that. I don't know idea. But I just want to kind of share kind of my own personal thoughts about the full moon, kind of from my perspective. And I did put out a post like where I kind of I wouldn't say that I think I used the analogy or I used the actual term on my Instagram story. I don't know if y'all follow me on Instagram or not, but I do a lot more on Instagram than I do on any other social media. But I put up like a quick little story, kind of like where I just kind of wrote my raw, authentic thought or emotions in the moment. So Saturday, I slept in, I woke up and I didn't leave my bed for like 6 hours. Now that is not normal for me. And it wasn't because I was tired. It just literally was. I think that this full moon in Scorpio just brought me to the most raw space ever, which also was just like literally like so much just purging completely. Like this is just all that is not serving me, that is not feeling right, but also letting my feelings out fully in every way, just having to just like really just blah, like it's out. Like I'm just like letting it out. And it didn't really feel the greatest, I'll be honest with you. But then it also at the same time really was kind of liberating, I guess, in a way. But it didn't come with like a lot of like roses and positive like feelings. Yeah, and I needed some rest, but I think I needed the rest to deal with a lot of personal things. I think that's what a full moon in Scorpio does, is it kind of goes like, before we can go create all these nice energies, like, well, we got to kind of create our own deeper emotional space that we need to change, that we need to let go of, right? I mean, somebody just said shedding the skin is uncomfortable, which is very scorpionic, right? It's very reptile-ish. What it does have, if you actually look in the sidereal, Antares is in Scorpio, and it's a Scorpio star, and it's pretty intense, even though it's funny that tropically it's still happening, well, it actually happened in both sidereal and in tropical in Scorpio. So it's just a jewel. I'm just vaping tobacco, or not even tobacco, just nicotine. It's kind of funny though. I saw an old friend today I haven't seen in a while. And I'm actually seeing another friend I haven't seen in 3 years who's been gone for a while tomorrow. And both them have been my best friends, homies since like one high school. Well, both of them high school. Both of them high school. But one of them came today here, and I hadn't seen him in a long time. He's going through stuff. He's a Taurus. Both of them are Tauruses too. How funny. I'm actually best friends with Tauruses. It's just very weird. And we've all, all of us as guys. And then I saw one of my other best friends here today, and it was like weird. Like we were like we haven't all three hung out with each other for like 16 years. It was really weird today. But we're all going through stuff, I don't know where I was going with this. Oh, I think it was kind of like regards to this. My one buddy that came over here, he's been clean off like drugs and everything for 7 years. And same thing with me. June is my like where I've been clean off drugs and marijuana and all that stuff. I haven't touched marijuana in 7 years. So, and then I'm on 4 years of no alcohol coming up in July. So so people want to ask when a lot of people think I smoke weed or something, or I smoke marijuana, but I don't. I used to, but I don't. Do I have Miss Cleo's new 800 number? Miss Cleo never was even around. When you called Miss Cleo's 800 number, you didn't talk to Miss Cleo. Oh, that's cool. No booze for 10 years. Yeah. A lot of people think I like do a lot of that stuff. I just don't anymore. I don't know. So This has been helping the cigarette thing though. Cut down my cigarettes a lot, you know. And I think that's another part of the Scorpio thing. It's like what's serving you anymore? And it was like the build up to that full moon in Scorpio. I was feeling like, yeah, I don't know if cigarettes are serving me as much anymore. And I think they served. I've been off cigarettes one time for 5 years, cold turkey. And then I got back on them last year in 18 when Uranus started squaring my sun. I started going through a lot of really intense changes in my life. And so I feel that, you know, things serve us and then things don't. And then it's weird, you know? And it's funny, I've quit cigarettes cold turkey, but I feel like it's like I'm fully done with like wanting to like, I don't know, end smoking, I guess, but at the same time I'm kind of not. So I kind of feel like the vape at the moment is kind of like this in between space, which is very kind of gray, but it is kind of still serving. And that's where I think Taurus is. Taurus will look at gray. Taurus will look at it. It will look at like, well, I like this and I like this. How can I do this? Can I get the best of like a lot of these worlds? Venus wants the best of both worlds. So it's kind of like a husband and wife, right? Or two partners in a house, like two roommates. It's like, well, I got like the guy might be like, oh, I want like a putting green in the house. And then the wife might be like, oh, well, I kind of want to, I don't know, like a vanity room or something. And it's like, okay, well, we got to find a place that we can try and get a little both. So, you know, Taurus kind of tries to find a way to get a little bit of both. And we're not in a Scorpio kind of, it was very, you know, when I quit, you know, marijuana, it was just like, done, marijuana's over. Never doing it again. Oh, done with alcohol. Never doing it again. Like, you know, and I think that this full moon in Scorpio brought a little bit of the last kind of like, yeah, I'm not doing that again. You know? So weird times. Yeah, I don't know. I was always so against vaping, but I don't know. I just something in my I just follow my gut. I'm sure a lot of you all are in here and then you all do the same thing. Like you all do the same thing. Like what feels right and what feels not. And then at a moment something might feel right. And it's like, okay. And if it's doing something positive, you know, whatever. You know? So but I think vulnerability right now is important. I think that we're gonna see a lot of I mean, I think we'll still see vulnerability, but I think that I'm sad that the full moon in Scorpio ended because a lot of people can't deal with true vulnerability or truth, especially when it comes emotionally. And that's why I think the moon is at fall position in Scorpio because people just don't want to hear true feelings. Like we tend to white lie things like, no, yeah, we're doing good, or yeah, you're doing great, or yeah, you look fine, or yeah, this is, I feel this about you, but no, I'll hold that back and I'll just say it this way. I don't want to like offend you. I don't want to hurt you too much. I don't want to da 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 da. And I think that that kind of creates a little bit of discourse because it's like then it's like being a lie, you know. So I have Mars and Saturn in Scorpio, so I kind of am that energy a lot. Yeah, somebody said this was the dopest full moon in a minute. The truth was revealed. I mean, I wouldn't feel like to me personally it wasn't the dopest. It was actually very difficult, but not in like not it wasn't like it wasn't I couldn't handle it, but it definitely was not fun for me. It was not fun. Um, but it did kind of put a lot of things in perspective, which you think more of a Sagittarian move would do. But it definitely was like, shit, I got to deal with this. Like there was kind of a boundary line in life, like that has to be set. And I think we all set boundaries, and I think a lot of it for all of us, no matter how vulnerable we can be, maybe we can express the vulnerability, but still, I think that it's a lot of private stuff that we all kind of have to deal with ourselves, you know. And not everybody has to know what those things are, and you don't have to like show them in a certain way to everybody, you know. So 2:10. So I got a couple minutes, and I got to roll. Yeah, and I know that this might not be the most insightful video I've ever done. It's late and I've been just doing horoscopes all night, but I've been catching up with old friends and but you know, other people stayed in bed all day Saturday and half Sunday. That's exactly what mine was. I'm just smoking a Juul. Nothing, no weed. I don't do weed. Oh, somebody likes that I'm talking slower now, easier to listen. Well, if I'm like in my channeled state, like I'll be honest, I'm not channeling right now. So that's how you know I'm like, if I'm intense and I'm going really fast, like I am in my hermetic, mercurial, like channeling, my Mercury trine Neptune, like my yods are activated. I am like, bam, my sun on the 12th is activated. I am just channeled. But if I'm just kind of laid back and kind of all over the place, that's the other part of my sun in the 12th house. I'm just kind of floating and just kind of like letting the Leo out, I guess. I don't know. I mean, and I'm just kind of hanging out. I think I had this like deep insight, which kind of goes a little bit beyond kind of the more deeper nature of things, of like soul work, but more on the world stage is like like this whole like influencer thing that's been going on, like, and like being a YouTuber or being like an Instagrammer or, like of course everybody wants to do it and everything, but I think it's coming to a point where it's like everybody's going to be one. So it's like there's nothing more special than another person who's doing it. Like I don't feel like it's a special thing as much anymore. And I think that like 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 I was talking to another friend of mine like 3 days ago. Like I don't like look at somebody and I see their following and go, oh, like wow, this person's like really special because they have a big following. Like I just kind of am like, is what they're saying valid to me? Like pretty much that's about it, Like I really am just kind of at that spot. So funny. I look like I'm drinking beer and I look like I'm smoking weed, but it's so funny. I'm drinking ginger ale and I'm smoking nicotine, you know? But yeah, some people are saying that's how they see it too. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, what even got me to do this so long ago? Because I've been doing this a long time. And like, that's like the weirdest part. Like, my first YouTube channel, which you guys can look up, is fucking with no G, Palmer Dude, one word. It's on YouTube. My first YouTube channel. 2006. I have like 5 or 6 YouTube channels out there with my personal life stuff, not astrology. A lot of them. And so, I've been doing that a long time. And to me, I just am kind of like, I don't know. Like I never really thought it was like something magical or special. I always looked at it as more as like, oh, this is a great way to get info out there. Because I come from the television world. I've done reality shows, TV shows, appearances. I've been very blessed with that. And I grew up in Southern California. So when my parents divorced and my mom remarried an actor, the stepdad that I had. And so he took me to auditions when I was 12, 13 years old. And for him, and I would just go and I'd be in LA, I'd be in Hollywood, I'd be in, and they would say, oh, you here for the audition? And I'd be like, no, I'm just here for my stepdad. I'm like so nervous. Like, and they'd be like, yeah, but you could do this. So they would throw me in an audition. And my first audition was for a Sears commercial that I wasn't supposed to be there for. I wasn't even an actor, nothing. And fucking my brother and I did it. And we both got a call back right away. And then that was like major because back in the 90s, if you got a call back, like a commercial was major back in the day. Like commercial acting was popping. And then I get to watch my stepdad do, lots of commercials. He did Super Bowl commercials. He did a lot. So I learned a lot from that. And then I was also in improv when I was in middle school. So a lot of people wonder, like, oh, like, are you acting or something? I'm like, no, I'm like really good at improv. I really was, I mean, I did acting too, like when I was young and in school and stuff, but I really excelled in improv. And I was lucky to go to a school that improv was like an actual part of the drama, but there was like a special group of people that my drama teacher only put in for like advanced improv. So it was weird. It was, oh yeah, there is a little shadowy. Ooh, I'm like hanging out with my Peter Pan shadow. But improv was where I excelled. And I excelled so much at it that I actually got kicked out of drama like 1 month before I graduated 8th grade, right before I went to high school, because I was pushing the limits of improv with comedy, with really out there themes that my teacher was like, no, this is too much now. And so I had to go see the vice principal. They threw me in yearbook when the yearbook was already done. So I sat in yearbook with a bunch of people who worked the whole year on yearbook. Some of them had been there, the year prior because they were 7th graders, 8th graders. I'm like they just threw me in yearbook, like, and I was like, okay. And I sat my last month in 8th grade in yearbook for a yearbook that was already done. Didn't have to do jack crap just because my improv teacher was like, you're too, like, she basically told me I was too good, but she was like, I have to kick you out because you're just taking it way too far. And I'm like, this is middle school. And I'm like, well, improv is gnarly. Like improv is improv. Like, I can't stop myself from going with where the flow of the universe is. And I believe that improv is 100% channeling in a way. Like, and going with where the universe is flowing and knowing how to, you know what I mean? Like, take it. I was lucky. I really didn't have any asshole teachers. I mean, what was weird is like my varsity volleyball coach, because in high school I played varsity volleyball and then I played varsity water polo, and I was the captain of the water polo team junior year varsity, which was kind of crazy. But my volleyball coach was one of the many algebra 1 teachers. And he didn't give me any cool extra special treatment, even though I was like fucking on the team that went to CIF finals and all this shit. And he fucking gave me like a D-. To be honest with you all, I did not do well in school and high school. Like, I was a straight A student until like my sophomore year, and then junior year I just D's. Senior year, F's, D's. Like, really bad. I just didn't care about school anymore. I just cared about sports. And I was a peer mediator, so I would handle fights. They'd call me out of class, and I would one last chance between the people who were fighting, you know? So it was kind of a weird time, you know? And yeah, it was I don't know. I learned a lot through school, but I did not go to college. I did not want to go to college, so I purposely took classes in high school that did not get me to college. I remember, because I was the varsity water polo captain, and we were very good. And then in volleyball, I was on a team that was very good. Although I'm 5'11", so I was an outside hitter. I was not like 6'4" or 6'5". I had a couple guys that were 6'5", 6'6". So like, we had colleges looking at us, but I was really good at serving. I was really good at outside hitting, and I was an amazing like passer. So literally, I was always thrown, because in volleyball you can kind of overlap players so they can be in a position to pass, because you're always rotating after every side out. And so my coach would always put me in a place to always pass. And so actually some schools asked me about scholarships to be in sports in both. And when they looked at my GPA, it was like a 1.8 GPA. So I couldn't even get in. I couldn't even get in. And I remember being like, well, that's just, I guess the universe doesn't want me to go to college, and I don't want to go to college. And then when they looked at the GPA, they're like, you're not even taking classes that get you into college. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm like, I don't want to go. Like, you have to do geometry, you have to do chemistry. I didn't do any of that shit. It was funny. I was like, I just didn't really want to go. It was weird because now I do geometry like every day of my life as an astrologer. But yeah, I have a younger brother. We're just 13 months apart. His name is Lyle. And we've been very close our whole lives. But I don't know. So kind of funny. This is a very moon and Sag talk at school and shit. But you know, today the sun's on my moon too. My moon's 28 Taurus. And I get a little hesitant about the sun of my moon. Like 4 years ago today, I was in the hospital for my first panic attack in the emergency ER. And then was it last year? Yeah, last year I was in Denver ready to do my first show, and I had another like minor almost panic attack. But that's because I don't do well in Denver. Never have. There's always been something weird about Denver. Oh, Miss Money Hun, is this Insomniac Kingdom? Oh, I'm just finishing the app stuff, and I thought I'd go live about a little bit of full moon kind of aftermath. But we're not channeling deep here tonight, Abby. We're just kind of having a talk. Scary with those eyes on you. Do I have crazy eyes on me? Maybe, yeah, maybe past life issues. But yeah, so sun on my moon is always funky. Oh, this painting isn't even straight. You know, it's so funny. One of my old roommates from 2013 had this, and then he gave it to me. And yeah, my moon on algal. And then when I moved, I asked if he wanted it back, and he was like, "No, you could have it." And honestly, I've just kind of kept it with me for now 6 years. 2013, yeah. So, but I think he was already a couple of years older. It's just a picture. It's not even a painting, and it's really cheap actually. It's like I think it's from like IKEA or something like back in the day. But I don't know why. It is kind of scorpionic. I do want to change out some stuff here, but don't tell me about Game of Thrones because I haven't watched it yet, and I'm probably not going to be able to watch it tonight. But maybe I should visit one of my friends. Well, today, like I was saying earlier, I had two friends come here, and we all three hadn't been together in like 16 years or something. Been maybe 12, 11. And then tomorrow I have my best friend coming home who I haven't seen for almost 3 years. And he's on a plane right now. So, and he hasn't been in America in 3 years. So it's kind of weird. I have a bunch of old people that have been in my life since school coming back into my life right now. So it's actually exciting. Yeah. You know. Oh, I'm fine with anxiety. I'm good. I'm not like I don't have anxiety. You know. What's up, Heather? Oh, thanks, Mr. Daisy. This is my natural state, and I think Abby can confirm this is just how I really am. I really am not putting on a show. I just am this. I think with High Vibe, that's kind of where we want to go with the network because Abby was here for the last week and we were filming Rachel, who's amazing. We just put up her first video on High Vibe, and it's a lot of mental health stuff that she's talking about on the new network. And as Abby and I have been talking this whole week, you know, it's like really just having a spiritual network about just really being authentic, but with like this very, guided place, but also a very open space and a very free space for people to feel safe and feel that we can talk about things. We can talk in a way. And there's going to be moments where people are going to be channeling like crazy. And there's going to be moments when people are just having open conversations. And then there's going to be times when people are doing really intense work that is very powerful. But, it's like kind of like an eclectic mix of energies, that it's not this, setting the standard of what even a high vibe is. I think that is defined by people raising a vibe up constantly. That I don't think that vibes stay at one place. I think vibes continue to grow. So I don't think that there is this like initial destination point, because it just continues to rise energetically. So it'll be interesting to see how this all, envelops, because it really is like flowing. And I think a high vibe is a very flowy place. And you know, it's just a very, very, very beautiful energy when people can become real and people can talk about things. So if you watch, somebody asked about Uranus and Taurus affecting property market. I talk a lot about that on my free video, which is out, called Rising Through the Darkness. That's a lot to go into, though, in property markets, and depending on, and you're in the UK, but yeah, I mean, I think that what we define as like value of property or title or anything, but with all this Capricorn right now, yeah, people associate value very highly on what they own, who owns it, who's in control. But I think there's a lot of shifting in what that's going to look like too. So, oh, we got somebody from Albania in here. Thanks for being in here, Nikki. Oh, thanks, Heather. Hope you've been well. Yeah, high vibe really is like the spiritual community is, I think, very undefined at the moment. And I think all spirituality is always undefined. And I think what's happening is, in the spiritual community, there's like this definition trying to be made, like what you wear, the way that you pray, that you have to burn this sage, you have to wear these kind of clothes, you have to do this kind of work, you have to eat this kind of food. And I've just been a very big advocate of like whatever makes you on a high vibe. And I think that's where Abby and I really connect, is like we are very open when we talk to each other. Like and I won't get into our private conversations, but it's like we'll talk about like a news story, and then we'll like look at it from both sides, like and really like be like, okay, yeah, and we'll bring other people in, and we'll all be kind of like bringing up about both sides. What are both sides learning? What is everybody learning in the whole deal? Like, it's not like this one-sided place. And I think for high vibe, I think that Abby and I really think that it's about this. There is no definition of how that might be, because if you corner it too much, then anything that comes in that might be very beautiful to actually bring in a high vibe might be stigmatized. And I think that stigma, like I was going to say, anything that has like a stigma attached to it is kind of something that honestly I think doesn't bring in a high vibe. So if you actually create the idea of a high vibe with a stigma around what only high vibes look like, then you can actually like block out something that might not look at what that stigma is, that might be bringing great information. And that's what's happened to astrology, right? There's like such a stigma around astrology. So science won't take a look at a Mayan calendar system, or science won't take a look at, all forms of astrology. And then religious aspects won't take a look at it either. And I think that astrologers don't have a stigma against religion. And I think that astrologers don't have a stigma against science, because we're like open books, And I think that the spiritual community is about being an open book and having open conversations, So Oh, that's kind of an interesting question. If I would ever consider presenting a show using an old-fashioned antique astrolabe chart. Um, I mean, yeah, if I can get a hold on one. Oh, I'm doing fine. I slept in today and I'm finishing the app videos. So I put out 15 videos every Sunday night. So I work Sunday nights. When I was in the military, I worked Sunday nights. And Friday was my day off. Saturday was my day off. If it was Friday night, I would get off. Or like Friday morning, I'd get off. And then I'd have Friday morning into Friday evening. And then I'd have Saturday into Saturday evening. And then Sunday, I'd have to be back at work. So I got here at 4, you know. We do not have a twin flame reader on High Vibe, actually. If you know of any good twin flame people, it'd be great. Or anybody that really wants to go into past life stuff. Somebody just brought just somebody brought up past life thing, and it'd be great to bring up some past life stuff. Um, but yeah, High Vibe, we're really open. And when the other thing about High Vibe, which we haven't really kind of announced yet, but you'll be seeing over the next couple weeks, is like people who really want to like build their spiritual name or channel or their work, like really offering programs to come here, be in the studios, learn how to do it, help with branding, help with creating content, help with getting, using the different sets here, getting you to have a talk. Because like with TED Talk, you have to be invited to do a TED Talk. Like, but we want to do high vibe talks and give people like really a great way to get their work out there, and offer people solutions that, you know, really kind of was the hard way. Like I took the hard way until I met Abby and we decided to do high vibe, like buying my own, like upgrading from a laptop to like a DSLR camera, and then updating that DSLR camera to this DSLR camera, and then this microphone, and then these cameras, and then build a live stream situation, and then I had a studio for 3 years before I got to this one that Abby and I um, came together and got this place. So it was kind of like it took a really long route. And if I look back on it, like if there was, I think when Abby and I came together and we were talking about it and doing the business plan, my 2 cents were like, imagine if there was a place that like, because I've been through it, like it's like I spent like 5.5 years before this, like building, to get my name and the brand out a certain way, right? But it was like a weird thing to where it was like, if there was a place where I could have just done it all and they had assistance and they had been through it, you know. So high vibe, somebody asked, what is high vibe exactly? A spiritual community? I would call it, I mean, I guess you could call it a spiritual community. I think it's a lot more. I would say that, high vibe is a positive lifestyle spiritual network that has a community aspect, has the aspect of a network of providing video content, subscription based, or you could buy individual videos. So we made it to where if you don't want to subscribe and you just want to watch one video, maybe you want to watch a horoscope from me on a Wednesday and that's it. You're just feeling like you want to find out more about what Wednesday has to say. You can buy the video for $1. Or if you want to just subscribe, then you can subscribe. And then you get access to everybody and their daily videos and their weekly content. So, and then of course we have a live platform that's coming out on there, which is already ready to go. We just have to do it. Then we have the studios to do talks and then events. And then there's a lot. To be honest, my head would spin. But I would say that highvibe.tv and High Vibe itself is really going into creating the spiritual network. Like there really is no spiritual network, So, but in that network has a community, in that network has a school, in that network has entertainment slash whether it is horoscopes or astrology, or it is about mental health, or it is about, channeling, or it is about, masculine and feminine issues, or divine feminine, or like late night talks with multiple guests, podcast stuff. So that's a good question. Hey, David, what's the next genre we are headed towards? I don't even know which genre we're talking about here, whether it's music or whether it's spirituality. But I would say that, and somebody said movement too. I would say it's got a movement aspect, but it's got a lot of aspects. It's really a place to be, like, high vibe, but it is 2019. It is a world where the media, you have to be on social networks like YouTube and stuff. But the problem with the YouTube thing is it's like you're cluttered in a million different people and a million different things, and you can get spiritually. And I think this is what Abby and I really thought about, is like, you'd be watching a really good spiritual video and then we'll automatically click you to someone else, and then it might be really negative energy, and it might be like, oh God, like, how did I get into this? And then you get kind of pulled out, where like high vibe really is kind of, not kind of, but actually just full-blown high vibe spiritual network with so many different aspects. And we cover shadow stuff, we cover stuff that's maybe different, and it's much more personable, because really the only other network out there is what I'm sure that you all know. I won't mention them by name, but you subscribe to them and you watch a lot of spiritual videos, but they're very like pre-recorded, like maybe 10 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old. So it's kind of like I don't know what you could call it, but it doesn't feel very personable to the viewer and be part of it in any way. And then when I was looking around, I was like, really, there's not much, So and when Abby and I got together, it was like, yeah, let's go create this space. And Abby's Miss Networker. She has networked her whole life, and I've networked too, but she's networked in much different circles than I have, much more connecting people that are really big thought leaders, people that are really, really changing the actual world in very big ways. And my connections come from the entertainment and the media world. So it's kind of a combination of that. Like I would say that Abby brings this understanding of business in very big ways, because she's been very successful with business, but she's been very successful with building beautiful contacts with very big thought leaders around the world. And the people who have really been making big differences in different ways, and very big networking circles that deal with lots of different sections, But I understand like the whole how to build a network of like media wise, how to get the apps out, how to like produce daily video content and create all the content, and then it's like the marketing stuff and the way to help talent build their own brands and build their own way of better content. So it's kind of like a hybrid of both worlds, I would say, the media world and the kind of thought leader world, and the connections between lots of groups of people, that are all kind of merging together. So yeah, it's a true team. And it's been through a lot of tests with spirituality. We always laugh. If you walk into the High Vibe Studios, it will either keep you in here or it'll throw you out based off where you're at with your own spiritual journey. It's pretty interesting to see, actually. It definitely will like throw you out, So anyway, I'm gonna go. I have to finish these videos and get them up on High Vibe here quick, because I went a little longer than I thought, but I'm gonna stay here at work anyway. I have my RV out here, so I'm not going back up to LA tonight and then come back in the morning. It's just not worth it. So I love you all. This was a good beginning of all of us processing. It's going to take a while to, I think, process, and not like a long time, but I think a couple days. And I would say like this next day, to really process what happened during that full moon and what needed to be released and what needed to be let go of. So like be okay with that. And whatever happens, there might be some really crazy stuff thrown your way. We're getting Mars and Uranus. So we're getting Mars and Chiron. So even though it looks weird and odd, it might be liberating with a weird front door look. If that makes sense. Anyway, I love you all. Sending you my best. Good night, Abby. Love you. Love you all for all the support. Thanks for always being here. We'll see you for tomorrow if you're on YouTube here. If you're not on High Vibe, you'll miss all my 15 horoscopes that come out tonight. But if you're on YouTube, Deep Love Tarot tomorrow night, 6 to 7 p.m., somewhere in there. And follow me on Instagram at the Leo Kingdom, and follow the High Vibe Instagram at High Vibe TV. And that's where we're posting a lot of stuff. And also on my Instagram, I do a daily post of the horoscope that you can read, every day on Instagram. So check that out. Love you all, and see you guys soon. Much love. Adios, amigas, amigos. Bye.